Happy Friday, and welcome to this week's episode of Friday 15, which happens every Friday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time and answers your industry questions. I'm Maureen Borsey, and I will be hosting this week's episode as Stephanie is out sick today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Our first question comes from Anonymous. What does the transition process look like when switching host agencies? What do you need to ensure your bookings transfer seamlessly from one host to another? So this is a really good question. So first and foremost, I would just recommend that you kind of review the terms of your host agency's contract. Make sure that you understand the terms within the agreement, and also make sure you understand how much notice are you going to need to give your current host agency in order to terminate the contract. So something to consider is if you do have current bookings with your host agency, you're going to probably want to, figure out if you're going to need to be dual affiliated with two host agencies during this process, especially if you have bookings and you have commission pending on that. Also, you're going to need to find out, are you going to need to disclose to your current host agency that you are going to be dual affiliated? And if so, are there any restrictions if you do go with a second host agency? So you are going to want to find out too that if you have a booking with them, and let's say that they do not allow you to transfer the booking over to the new host agency, you're going to want to find out when they're actually going to pay out the commission on the current booking that you have with them. So this may cause you to actually be in that dual affiliated scenario where you are staying with your current host agency in order to get your commission paid out on your booking. And then you're also going with another host agency and getting your business started up there as well. So keep that in mind. And then, it doesn't hurt to ask the host if you can move the booking over to your new host agency. So my experience on the supplier side has been that usually, host agencies do not like to let the booking move over. But what, surprises me is how many times they actually do allow for it to be moved. So, make sure that you're following up with your host, let them know that you are going to be switching affiliations, let them know that you have a booking and what is the process that they have in place for you to be able to move the booking over. And then if you're not able to move it over, find out when the commissions are going to get paid on that and how long you're going to still kind of have to be affiliated with them in order to get paid out on your commissions. So something else I would also suggest is actually following up with any suppliers that you currently work with. You're going to want to make sure that they understand that, you have changed host agencies. And then that's going to enable them to get your information updated in their system. The other reason for this also is if your new host agency is actually affiliated with a completely different consortium than your old host agency, you're going to want to let your supplier know that, because that may impact your commission structure and levels that you have with the supplier. So, and they're going to want to get that updated in their system as well. And just so you know, most consortiums do send a quarterly notice to the suppliers, letting them know kind of who's come, who's joined and who has left, whereas the host agencies don't really do that. So you're just going to want to make sure that if your host agency has a different consortium, that you do go ahead and let them know that, so that they can get that updated and that you're getting the proper commissions once you are booking with the new host agency. That's really important for you as well. And then one other thing is you're going to want to check to see if the suppliers you work with, and if you are transferring a booking over, if they're going to require anything, like some of them may require that your old host agency sends a letter to them releasing the booking to the new host agency. And then in turn, the new host agency is going to need to send an acceptance letter. So not all suppliers will require this, but that would be something else just to make sure that you have everything in line. See if they have any requirements on their side, and then just making sure that, they have updated their records with your new host agency, and if your consortium has changed, so that you are getting the correct commission levels for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the comments about independent contractor contracts. So there might be some useful information in there for you as well to kind of take a look at. But ultimately, you're just going to want to just, know your contract, make sure you reach out to your current host, discuss that you are going to be leaving, and then just finding out the process of whether they will or will not be able to release the booking to the new host agency and what that entails. So just making sure you're following up with your host, that is going to be the best course of action for you. So thank you for your question. Next question comes from Nicole. I'm really struggling with selecting a host agency. I'm located in Boston, so thought that a host in a similar time zone would be important as a newbie. I'd really like a lot of support. The issues come from finding a host that fits my niche, adventure travel. I noticed that a lot of these hosts list adventures on their profiles, but they also list a lot of other categories. When I think of adventure, I'm envisioning Kenyan safaris, snorkeling trips to Indonesia, not really Disney cruises. Can you suggest an appropriate host agency that specializes in adventure travel and takes on beginners? So this is a really good question, Nicole. And we have a lot of really good suggestions for you in finding a host agency that fits you, and then also finding one that works with adventure travel companies as well. So when it comes down to it, you need to understand what it is that you are looking for in a host agency. We have hundreds of host agencies listed on our site. So what you're going to want to do really ultimately is you need to do your research. Go onto our website, take a look at the host agencies that we do have listed on there, and just start taking a look on there. And real quickly, let me share my screen with you just so that you can see. Real quick, hang on here. Okay, so when you go to our website, right here, you can go ahead and it just says, I'm looking for a host agency. Just go ahead and click on that. There's a drop-down menu that there's other things in there you can click on as well, but click on that and then just hit go. And this is going to bring up all of the host agencies that we currently have in our system. And so you can easily just click on, when you click on one of these host agencies, you're actually going to see that there's a profile for every single one of them. And it will tell you right here, currently accepting beginner agents or experienced agents. Now it will list over here focuses. So this one right here, very first one is adventure. But they are going to list multiple suppliers on here as well. So, just make sure when you're going through, taking a look at this, looking at the adventure part of it. And then, you're just really going to need to understand, what do you want from a host? What is the most important thing for you working with a host agency? So, especially being new, obviously training and educational programs are going to be important. You're going to want to know, what kind of marketing do they offer to you? What kind of commission structures do they have? What kind of commission splits do they have? And also knowing what kind of products that they do have available for you to sell as well. So I know that you had mentioned that you were looking for a local host within Boston. So we are going to make sure that we include some links in the comments that have a host agency map in there, so you can see all of the host agencies located across the United States. So you could narrow down certainly by host agencies that are going to be more East Coast oriented or within your time zone. But certainly my suggestion is don't discount a host agency that may be in Florida or one that's in California, because you may find that some of these maybe larger host agencies might have more of what you are looking for than one that is in your time zone. And just so you know, every host agency has agents across the United States, so they work with everybody in any time zone. So that will never be an issue for you. There will always be somebody there to help you out. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then once you've kind of narrowed down your choices, I would get them down to about maybe 2, 3, or 4 host agencies that you're interested in, and then give them a call. Because when you actually talk to the host agency, you're going to know if it's a right fit for you. And ultimately, you're the only one that can make that decision. So, just know that there's no right or wrong answer here when choosing a host. What host you choose today may not be the host that you're with in a couple of years, because your needs have changed. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then another suggestion too is if you have joined our 7-day setup program and joined our Facebook group, that is such a great place that you could go ahead and put in a question and list the host agencies you're interested in and see if you can get feedback from other agents. And you'd be surprised how many are going to come back with such great feedback on any of the hosts that you are looking at. So I would definitely suggest that you do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some links in the comments for you as well on how to choose a host, how to find the best host agency, and then also the host agency locator map, as I had mentioned earlier. So most host agencies, just so you know, do have preferred supplier partnerships, and they have multiple suppliers. So they could have hundreds of suppliers listed that they are working with. So that could be anything from Disney to cruises, from tour operators to luxury travel and to adventure travel. So this gives you the opportunity to have so many suppliers to work with. So keep that in mind. And I know that you had mentioned that your niche is that you want to be doing adventure travel, which is great because that is half the battle, is understanding what you do want to sell. So what I would do is take a look at the preferred supplier list from your host partner and find a couple of adventure travel companies. So I know you had kind of mentioned that you were interested in African safaris. So maybe that's a place to start. Take a look at who are their preferred suppliers that offer an African safari product. That could be anything from tented camps that on there. That could be tour operators. It also could be a river cruise company because some of them do offer adventure travel within Africa as well. It could also be FITs. So keep that in mind if you're kind of wanting to look to put packages, kind of piece together the packages yourself. There's also that opportunity as well. So and this is also a great way, once you've kind of narrowed down 2 or 3 suppliers you want to work with, is to reach out with them. And it's a great way for you to build a relationship with them. And then, something to consider too is once you've established a book of business, you can now expand the business that you are doing to so many others areas of venture travel. So, start off, say, if you're going to start off just selling, African safaris, that's fantastic. And then what you're going to do is you're going to be able to expand. So if you decide, I do want to focus on snorkeling trips or sailing trips to Indonesia, then that's going to give you an opportunity to kind of expand there because you've experienced how to do the Africa product. And now you can expand to other more exotic destinations if that is what you were really looking for. So, and then one other suggestion for you is, I don't know if you're aware, there is a company called the Adventure Travel and Trade Association. And this is such a great association that is specific to adventure travel companies and working with them and giving you ideas of other types of products that you can sell. So I would highly recommend that you take a look at their website. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that in the comments, I'm going to put some links in there for you for, obviously for how to pick your niche, picking preferred suppliers, and also how to qualify a supplier. And then also I'm going to put the link for the Adventure Travel and Trade Association so that you have that to look at as well. So, and then one other suggestion for you is, especially being new to the industry, is I highly recommend once you choose your host agency, every year host agencies and actually the consortium that they are affiliated with do offer industry events. So they do annual conferences, regional meetings, all sorts of seminars and fam trips. So when you have the opportunity, it is well worth it to go to your host agency's conference. You are going to learn so much there, and it gives you such a great opportunity to network with the host agency, to actually network with other agents there, because you're going to be able to find other agents that are probably doing something very similar to what you are and bounce ideas off of them. And then also to network with the suppliers that are there. So they do like a trade show portion at all the conferences. And, those are anywhere from a couple hours. Sometimes they're on one day. Sometimes they could be 2 days. But there will be hundreds of suppliers for you there to go speak with. So definitely go to the booth. Now, just keep in mind the trade shows are busy. Go in there, introduce yourself, get the business card, let them know what you're trying to do, and make sure that when you get back from the conference, follow up with that supplier and touch base with them and start building that relationship with them. Also, a lot of suppliers do have seminars during the conference. So make sure you're taking advantage of that as well, because these are great ways to network and, just get to figure out who do you want to work with for the future, and also, building relationships with other colleagues within your host agency as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we put a link in the comments on tips on how to make your conference count, because it is really important, especially starting out, to make sure that you do attend an industry event such as that. So thank you so much for your question, Nicole. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate everybody joining us today for this week's Friday 15. Don't forget that you can submit your questions to hostagencyreviews.com/Friday15. And we look forward to seeing you next week at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.